The past always looks better than it was. It's only pleasant because it isn't here. Finley Peter Dunn. DZ Tribe, Josh Thomas. If you haven't already, check out thedozone.com for productivity tips, accountability, a bunch of really cool guides with beards that like to go and get stuff done. They have tattoos too. Once again, that's thedozone.com. And speaking of beards and tattoos, our guest today is Mr. Brandon Green. And Brandon is a fascinating guy, and I'm just so excited to have him on here. He is a 25-year car audio industry veteran, and he has owned and operated the Car Audio Shop in St. Louis, Missouri since 2012. And I'm so excited to have him on here because he has a very unique angle for how he runs his business, and I want to kind of get into that a little bit. So, Brandon, welcome to the Do Zone. Say what's up to the tribe and tell us something you believe is the key to getting stuff done that most people wouldn't think of.
Oh, wow. That was an awesome introduction, man. Thank you. What's up, everybody? Great to be here. I appreciate you having me on, Josh.
Sir.
Well, something, I think probably one of the things this has kind of been going through my head today, actually. I did another podcast earlier with another Apex member, but we all kind of have some good days and some bad days, you know. It's not all roses and sunshine all the time, you know. So, you know, every one of us is going to have those days where I feel like things aren't quite right and whatever. And I think it's very important to keep track of that and keep yourself accountable on that. But also being able to move forward after that and keep improving day after day and keep working on that is something that's, you know, very beneficial to helping you grow and also, you know, get stuff done and help grow your business.
So just basically understanding that you're not always going to wake up on the winning side of the bed.
Exactly.
Yeah. And well, it's really fascinating that you bring that up. There's a book that probably a lot of people in this audience are familiar with called The Four Agreements. And have you read that book, Brandon?
I don't think I've read that one yet.
So I'll give you the Cliff's Notes version. The last agreement is kind of the catch-all. The first one is be impeccable with your word. The second agreement is don't take anything personally. The third one is don't make assumptions. And then the final one is always do your best. And the way that it's described in the book is, well, you need to follow these. You need to have these three agreements with yourself that you're going to do all of these things. But the fourth agreement basically says, whenever you mess all of that stuff up, that's okay. You can get up tomorrow and try again.
Yeah, I mean, none of us are perfect. So, you know, you gotta take it. I mean, learn from the lesson, but you know, you gotta keep moving forward. You can't dwell on that and stay stuck.
Yeah, that's right. And there's so many times that's happened to us in our personal lives, in our business, in a relationship. If you've ever tried, you know, if you've ever struggled with weight and you're trying to lose weight, you go on this super strict diet and then you mess up and you're like, crap. Well, I guess I'm just going to eat 6 pizzas then.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. Exactly.
You made a mistake. Always do your best. Go to bed, get up, start over the next day. The world hasn't going to end. You know, you made a mistake in your relationship. Always do your best. Get up tomorrow and try it again. You made a mistake in your business. Always do your best. Get up tomorrow and you can still be productive. You don't have to throw it all in the trash.
Exactly.
So I'm really excited to have you on here because you have taken this kind of commodity business, it's kind of a blue collar business. And, you know, you're installing car stereos and different accessories into cars, and you went upstream with it. And I think that anybody that's in the car audio should really tune in, turn this up as loud as you can, you know, try not to disturb your neighbors or anything, but I have a pretty soothing voice, so it's not bad. But especially if you're any kind of entrepreneur or business owner, we need to pay attention to what Brandon is saying and how he runs his business, because when you're moving upstream, it means you don't have to do as much volume, but you can deliver a better service. And that service has a somewhat kind of intangible value. You're charging based on the experience that you provide and not so much the actual equipment that you're providing. You're charging for the quality of technician. You're charging for the service and the relationship that you have with them. Talk to me a little bit about how you got started in this business and why you decided to, well, be a little more specific about what you do. I'm being kind of vague, but
Sure.
who do you serve and why did you decide to go all the way up there to these super high end cars?
I mean, I started this back in the late 90s. I'm dating myself there. But, it was really easy to just throw something into a car back then, a radio and speakers and amps and stuff like that. It wasn't nearly what it is today. And uh, the way everything's evolved over the years, it's just really changed on all the technology and stuff that we have that available to us and able to do things in cars now, but also, the technologies in these cars that we have to deal with. So, I mean, when I started out, I just wanted to build cool stuff. I like the cool cars you see it on magazines and stuff. I'm like, I want to do that, so, got in, started learning, trying to figure some stuff out on my own. I had a lot of great people help me out along the way and teach me. Probably I've forgotten more than I remember. So
that's a true sign of genius when you've forgotten more things than most people know. Then that's when you've made it.
Well, I appreciate that, but I ain't sure if I would call myself anywhere close to a genius. But
you're looking through these magazines and you see all these hot rod cars, you see these high end cars, and you just thought, man, it'd be really cool to just work on those.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of difference between, I don't know, date myself again because I can't think of a Chevy Silverado, for example, or a McLaren. There's a whole lot of the way they're designed and put together and the fit and finish and the whole end result. And let's face it, people that are able to have those cars, they've worked their ass off to get them. And so they're very particular about who touches them and how and what's happening. And so that takes a very, quite frankly, just a long time, of getting them to know you and like and trust and, that whole sales side of things. But that also comes, on allowing them to, or them allowing you to even touch the car, or be around it and stuff like that. So our first shop, which is on the southwest side of St. Louis, we did some higher end stuff and, nicer hot rods but it was more, hot rods and trucks and things like that down in that area. And we got the opportunity to sponsor one of the high end car clubs here in St. Louis. And we'd done some work for some of them guys and had some connections there and kind of worked out to where we were just able to kind of get in with that group, again, back to kind of having those connections, being able to use that. And then from there, we opened this other shop. Let's see, it's been a little over a year ago at this point, mainly just to make it easier for them to bring those vehicles to us and, be around. We're more of an industrial area here. And so it's much better. We have, like a Clear Auto Bra shop right next door that they're all used to coming to. There's detail shops and performance shops and everything all around us that we all work with. And so again, they're comfortable coming to this location or this area as opposed to having to drive their car, 30 minutes another direction. And some of these guys really watch miles. They don't want miles put on, a $250,000 car or, something like that. So
right.
The convenience thing of opening this shop has definitely helped us with a lot of that. But the biggest thing has been taking the time over the years and really growing into being able to just be able to handle, that. And also, being able to talk to these people just like a normal person. I mean, sometimes
because they're just normal people. Now,
exactly.
somebody that's buying a car that costs more than a house, I mean, there's something a little different about them, but
There
they're
is.
at the same time, they just want to be treated like a normal person, but with a little bit of status, a little bit of clout. Can you
Exactly.
maybe explain when you were first starting? I know you probably don't put audio into any Honda Accords anymore, or maybe you
We
do.
we still do. I mean, we still
Okay.
do a little bit of everything.
Okay.
But
So what's the difference between somebody that comes in with just like let's call it a regular car, if you will, and somebody that comes in with a high end exotic car that costs, mid six figures? What's the difference? I mean, as the business owner, you're probably treating them the same, but what is the difference in the vibe, and how do you attract more of that higher end customer?
yeah, we definitely try to treat everybody the same. Of course. I mean, let's be honest. We're all people.
Yep.
Judgment does happen at some point. I'll be the first person to admit it. Not that I'm trying to judge somebody, but you see an old beat up truck pull up as opposed to a Ferrari. There's a little bit something different going on there.
Yeah.
But we'll work on either one. It's fine.
Sure.
But the vibe is it's per the client and it kind of varies depending on who walks through the door. I mean, if it's somebody we've dealt with before, I mean, we'll just treat them like, hey, how you doing? Haven't seen you in a while, and stuff. But if it's a new client and stuff, we want to sit and take the time and talk to them and figure out what they need and what they want, and what would best suit their needs and solve their problem. So honestly, it really just depends on the client and what they're looking for, and what their demeanor is, because you kind of want to gauge at least this is kind of what we do. We kind of gauge how we deal with the person by the way they're coming and reacting with us.
So let me ask this question: whenever you started, because I would imagine there's several car audio shops in St. Louis, and not all of them are installing on McLarens and Lamborghinis and that's Ferraris and that sort of thing. And so I'm sure that there's a real estate agent out there that wants to get into the multi-million-dollar homes. I'm sure that there's an HVAC repair guy out there who wants to repair the houses that have multiple units. I'm sure there's a roofer that wants to get into the larger square footage of the roofs for the bigger properties and the higher end homes with the better markups. What kind of advice can you give to those guys who are looking to kind of target and serve that upper echelon of customer? What do you think caused that shift for you in your business?
I think the biggest thing is, which I know it's cliche and everything, but just being genuine and honest with people. And from there, it takes time to grow a business, up into that type of clientele. But if that's what you're shooting for, you need to set your business model up to go after that, market that direction. Then also you have to be around them, I mean, and you have to, what's the word I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
you have to be,
you nailed it. You said you have to be around them. And one of the things you mentioned earlier was you got an opportunity to sponsor an event. Tell me about that and how did that affect your business?
It did really good. Well, what we did was, when the whole COVID-19 thing started, some car audio guys had started using some of their equipment and stuff to make face shields and stuff for hospitals and doctors and different things. And so we kind of jumped in and started doing that along with other shops all over the country. And one of the doctors that we had given some face shields and stuff to, he gave some to a friend. Well, that friend happened to be the president of the Need for Speed Club here in St. Louis, which is Ferraris, Lamborghini, all high-end cars. It's an exotic car club. And so, just putting out that extra little bit of effort, doing something to try to get back has actually kind of benefited us too, and allowed us to get in with, with that crowd. And been they're awesome people, and but we've been grateful for that opportunity. But it kind of all comes back to, doing some work that we never expected that to come from. And that's kind of how that happened.
That's cool. So COVID-19 happens, and a bunch of the other guys are kind of rallying to get some masks and face shields. And then the guy that's coordinating this happens to be the president of this club that has exotic cars.
Yeah, but in a roundabout way, yeah. Or he was one of the doctors that was receiving them. Yeah, but
Interesting.
yeah. So and we had done, other exotic cars and different stuff at the other shop and whatever, but that kind of really propelled us into that area. And now that we've done quite a few, they know a lot more that, we're capable of. If somebody needs something now, we get a text message or a call or something, and they just drop the car off with us, but it's really building up that trust and stuff. And it's taken us a year or two for them to get to know us and vice versa. And one of the biggest things with that, I think, is time. You gotta give it some time and really build yourself up into that and brand yourself to be that.
It reminds me, I used to tell this story about one handshake. Sometimes all you really need to completely change the trajectory of your life is you need one handshake. And it sounds like this moment for you, this happenstance that I want to help this doctor out that was receiving these face shields or something, that was your one handshake that changed your trajectory. And I have a similar situation. I met a gentleman in 2011, and he was an internet marketing guy, and I was like trying to figure out how to get into that game, but I was just broke as a joke, and I literally had to borrow. He had an event coming up in Austin. I'm in Austin. He had an event coming up, and I'm like, I got to go see this guy. And it was $97 for this event. It was like super, super cheap. And it was a 2-day event. You just had to pay $97. And I didn't have the $97. I literally had to borrow it from somebody else so that I could go to this event. And so I got the $97, and I go down to this hotel downtown. It was the Driscoll, by the way. And I walk in, and there he is. I'd never seen anybody I'd never met any kind of like internet personality before this. And there he's just standing there, and I'm like, oh my God. And his name was Perry Marshall, by the way. And I walk in, and he's like, hey, I'm Perry Marshall. And he shook my hand. And I was like, dude, that was so cool. And then I went in and I watched the seminar, and it was like life-changing. And then 6 months later, I ended up working for him, and I worked for him for like 6 years. And that taught me, it gave me all of these resources and confidence and free education, taught me how to do sales, and ultimately completely changed the trajectory of my life, because I would have just been like some dude working some dead end bullshit job if I hadn't have shaken his hand.
Yeah, that's an awesome story, man.
And you never know where that handshake's coming from.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it could be the guy at the grocery store, or somebody walking down the street. You may just happen to help, and you don't know what they have, don't have, what they're willing to help you with, or something like that. So yeah, I think that's an awesome story, and awesome to think about, because you never know what particular part of this little thing we're doing called life, you never know where it's going to change, and what little thing could make it all totally different.
Yeah. And in your situation, you guys, during COVID, most people are just like, well, I'm bored, what are we going to do? Let's do this face shield thing. I don't know. There's nothing else to do, and you weren't thinking about how do I find a way to create business. You were just thinking about, hey, here's something that I can do that'll keep me occupied or make a difference or whatever. And that turned into a one handshake situation. And it's things are looking up for you. So it's, man, you always got to be looking out for that, shake as many hands as you can, because you never know who that one's going to be.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, man. Well, I'll tell you what, Brandon, why don't we bust out the bone saw, the ice pick, crack open the skull here. We're gonna do a little do zone diagnostic. Is that all right?
It sounds good. Let's see if I can mess this up.
So just quick rapid fire answers here. We want to just kind of really understand how your brain works. What's one thing you do, Brandon, that keeps you focused on your goals?
Try to keep everything in perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly try to keep it in perspective and what's important and what's not, and that lets me know what I need to work on, what I need to stay focused on.
Yeah, you got it, man. And how do you get back on track when you lose that focus?
Oh, sometimes they're easier than others. It just depends. Sometimes it's taking a look in the mirror and like, hey, get your shit together. Or sometimes it takes a day or two and struggle through some things or talk it out with some people or whatever. And it kind of depends on what's going on with me usually. At least that's kind of how it works in my little head here.
Right. Well, we got it ripped open, so we gotta we gotta peek in there.
It could be scary.
Yeah, right. I'm not looking in that back corner, man. It's like it's looking dark and dreary.
I wouldn't suggest it.
Yeah. So who's your support group and how do they keep you accountable?
Oh, of course, my wife. She definitely does not like to tell me no. She's decided, so we're working on her being a little more open with that and letting her understand that she can. Other than that, I mean, like the group we're in together. I talk with a lot of those guys all the time. I have a lot of car audio industry friends. I know shops all over the country, so I'm on groups with them. Or that's literally my Facebook feed is our group or car audio stuff. That's all I see.
Yeah.
So it just kind of depends. I kind of reach out to, if I know somebody's gone through a problem or going through something I can help with, whatever, I'll kind of reach out and talk to them. But it kind of varies from who might be going through what at that particular time, or what I may have heard recently. Like I may have heard you say something on the podcast that kind of resonated with me, and I'm like, hey man, that really helps, something like that. So it just kind of depends.
Yeah, understood, man. So, and one question I love to ask is, how do you approach a difficult project that you're not sure how to complete?
Well, doing what we do, and especially on the custom side and everything, this happens more times than we like to admit. It kind of like they say with eating the elephant, one little bite at a time. You gotta just get you an idea. For me, this may not be the same for everybody, but if I'm going to build something in a car, I need to be able to like visualize it and see it in my head. And from there, I just reverse engineer it in my head and start building, start measuring, start building, and just make it happen. There's very few times where I don't have some sort of a game plan going on and what's happening. Nice. So, but I got to see the end result, and then I know how to reverse engineer it and go from there and just make it happen one step at a time.
Awesome. And last question here. What's the number one pro tip you'd give to somebody that's looking to get more stuff done in less time?
Just take action. You just got to do something. I mean, I know it sounds stupid, simple, and we hear it all the time, but I mean, if you're going to sit there on your ass and not do anything, well, it's not going to get done. You got to take action. You got to get something done. So.
Yeah, man, I agree with you. That's the whole point of the entire podcast. It's exactly called the Do Zone. Go do something. You're speaking my language, dude. So, well, let me ask you this because I want to talk about something else that you recently started, but sure. I want to ask first about your car audio shop. Who do you serve? You're in St. Louis. Do you mostly serve people in St. Louis, or do you kind of take anybody? What are some different services that you provide? What are some maybe cool stories of weird cars that you've worked on? Tell me a little bit about that. But first, where can somebody learn more about your car audio service?
Okay, yeah. Well, the website is thecaraudio.shop.co. That's the easiest place to find us. There's also a Facebook page, the Car Audio Shop. On Instagram, the Car Audio Shop STL.
Okay.
Got it around a few different places. Of course, I'm on Facebook as well under my name, Brandon Green. So it's you can find everything through that too. So yeah, that's the easiest way to do it. I'm on Facebook mostly. That's more of where I see our clients and stuff. So I tend to spend more time on that than anything.
Cool. And so who do you serve? Like, is it mostly people in the St. Louis, or can anybody bring their car in from anywhere? And who would be a good customer for you?
We mainly deal with people in St. Louis, of course, because we're here. But we have had vehicles shipped into us as well if somebody has a particular project they want. So it's mainly here, but we do, reach out and kind of all over the country if need be.
Right. Yeah, because if you've got a $500,000 car, it's all right to pop a few $1,000 to ship it to the right place and get the right audio installed and ship it back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And what is that secret sauce that you really bring there, that makes your service just really, really pop, aside from, just being genuine and sincere? We talked about that.
Right.
But what are some of the systems that you install? Can you kind of describe that for anybody out here that might be an audiophile? What are some of the really, like, the coolest setups that you've ever installed?
Well, let's see here. One that was really challenging always comes to mind. We did a Bentley for a good client of ours, and we did that. We built the whole car, which included everything from having amps and speakers and stuff had to be ordered from Italy. They had to come directly from Italy to us and get all that done. But we had a show that was in 3 weeks, your St. Louis European Auto Show, and so the car was to be debuted there. So we literally did a whole build on that car, which is not one of the easiest vehicles to work on. Some of the European vehicles, they come apart a little bit differently, a little tighter tolerances and things like that. And the electronics are a little different. So we had to go through and test and figure out what we had for signals, just literally to get music to play, let alone how to get it to sound good. And so, yeah, we've, that one was a little tricky. There's a lot of pictures of that one on the Facebook page and stuff. That would be where I'd recommend if you want to take a look at that. That one was cool. As far as some of the higher end brands we deal with, I mean, Sony and Kinwin mainly what we use for our, our head units and radios, but a lot of the vehicles we do now, we don't change out the radio. We build a system off that. So we do processors from mainly Arc Audio and well, I'm really drawing a blank here all of a sudden. I'm gonna get in trouble for this. Somebody's gonna yell at me.
Yeah, it's all good. And so one of the coolest things that you've done recently is you're kind of leveraging that experience that you have, and you launched a podcast. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I've had a friend of ours, Mr. Thomas Keenan, got on my ass about 1.5 years ago to make that happen, and I kept dragging my feet. And I had some other friends kind of start pushing me and telling me I needed to do it. So I finally just went for it and made it happen. I went through a little podcasting course class, figure out what I was doing because I had no clue. And then, we're about I don't know, 10. I'm recording 12th episode tomorrow, so nice. We got more scheduled. So yeah, had a lot of cool people on there, a lot of different things. Some of the stuff that's been very similar to what you talk about here. Some of it's completely different, and sales stuff, or we kind of hit a little bit of everywhere. But it's business cards and cigars, what we call it. Mainly talk some business stuff and whatever, and of course have a little fun with the cars, and we get a chance to do something here in studio or whatever and have a cigar, and while we're doing it, and we do that too. Just have a lot of fun with this, the idea.
Yeah, business, cars, and cigars.
Yes, sir.
I love it. Yeah, man. So is the cigar, like, do you have to smoke a cigar in order to listen to it too?
No,
Is that like a mandatory requirement?
It's not really a requirement, but I do highly recommend it.
My voice sounds so much sexier when you're smoking a cigar. Awesome. Well, that's cool. And so give me in honor of that, I'm gonna give a little impromptu. I'm gonna ask you a question. What's your number one best advice for business, your number one best advice for cars, and your number one best advice for cigars? Let's start with the business advice.
Oh, business advice. The biggest thing I'm working on right now, so it comes to mind, is getting back on my schedule, following a schedule, setting it up, making sure your time's done, delegating the stuff that you don't really have time to do, really setting yourself up to do the tasks that you need to do and have somebody else handle the other stuff, so that you don't have to waste your time on some of the small medial tasks that anybody can handle.
Mm-hmm.
As far as cars go, I don't know if I got any real advice for it. I mean, I just like cars and they're cool. I mean,
what's your favorite car and why?
Oh, my favorite car. I used to be a Porsche guy growing up and everything. I really liked them. But now there's just so many cool cars out there. I don't know. I mean, I have a rat rod myself. I have a truck, and we work on all these cool cars and hot rods and different things.
So for those of us that maybe aren't like in the biz, like me, what exactly, and I hope I don't get booed for this, but what exactly is a rat rod?
I'm not sure if there's an actual definition for it.
Okay. What generally is a rat rod?
Think old car that's been put together with whatever somebody found in their garage, maybe rusty, may have some paint on it, whatever, but usually pulled out of a field or something, kind of dirty and rusty and stuff like that, just kind of really raw and
earthy.
Yeah, there you go. Earthy. So it probably still has some earthy in it somewhere.
Yeah, right. Okay. All right. So get business advice. Got to get with your schedule. You got to delegate the stuff you really don't have time to do. For cars, you recommend that you just go and find a bunch of random parts in the field and slap them together, and that's called a rat rod.
Yeah, there you go.
What's your favorite cigar?
I'll be honest with you. I'm not very good, or not much of a cigar aficionado. I just more like hanging out with buddies and having a cigar. I have a new favorite, but I can't say what it is yet because they are not released to the public yet.
Okay.
But I will say one thing: we now have an official cigar of the Car Audio, or the Business Cards cigar. So that episode will be coming out in about a month, right before he launches his cigar. So.
Wow, that's cool. That's going to be your new favorite for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And along that lines, I'm not really much of a cigar guy, but the last time I was hanging out with some friends, they recommended, hey, let's go to the cigar bar. And I'm like, okay. And so I went, and it was weird, man. Like, I can't remember the last time that I used to be a smoker. I used to smoke cigarettes for like half my life. I never smoked inside. And so we're just sitting in this bar. We're like inside, and we're smoking this gigantic log, and it took like 2 hours to finish it. It was like the weirdest thing. But, the reason that I was there was the other people in the room, and that's the same thing. That's the same thing as what you said. It's like, I didn't really enjoy the cigar all that much, but I did enjoy the fact that we were sitting around and we were sharing that experience together. And that's really what it's all about. Who cares if you smell like old man and farts for the next 2 days? It doesn't matter.
Exactly. And I finally, end of November, I quit smoking too. So
yeah, man. All right. High five for that. Yeah.
Yeah. I finally made that happen after way too long. So
yeah. Awesome, dude. Well, any other words of wisdom that you want to share with our audience here before we wrap up?
Man, just get to work, get things done.
Get to work, get things done, man. That's like music to my ears. I really appreciate it. Brandon Green, thanks so much for being here. For those of you who are in the St. Louis area, or you have a high-end car and you're looking for an audio project, you can go to thecarAudioshop.co. And I also highly recommend and encourage you to check out the Business Cars and Cigars podcast as well. And if you're a busy entrepreneur looking to get to the next level, head over to thedozone.com for more productivity tips, tools, and strategies. You can also join our Facebook group of the same name. Until next time, remember, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. What are you going to do with yours?